Good morning. You are listening to National Real Estate Auction Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison, and we are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on RALauctions.com as they are the sponsor of this program. Additionally, the show will be posted on YouTube.com. We're going to be talking about real estate auctions, past auctions, upcoming auctions, different real estate markets across the country. We got a lot of topics today, and to help us out, we've got a VIP from Delray Beach that will be calling in, and another VIP from Danbury, Connecticut. So we've got far range of callers here, and then we'll get our own RAL report by Allison Marchetti, and she's from Moultrie, Georgia. Our sponsor is RAL Auctions. It's a national real estate auction firm that started in 1936. They do online auctions, on-site auctions, and ballroom auctions. They have offices in Florida, New Jersey, California, Georgia, and have alliances with auctioneers and real estate brokers across the country. They do government auctions, bankruptcy auctions, and much more. They've got a big auction schedule coming up, so check out their website at RALauctions.com, or you can call them at 800-323-8388, 800-323-8388. Our mission statement is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. Our listeners are real estate investors, real estate agents, real estate media, banking officials, bankruptcy officials, all kinds of VIPs that are, again, from around the country. They're VIPs that are in every segment of the real estate sector. All right, we've got our first caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. It's Deborah Bacarella calling you from sunny South Florida.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for calling in. And you and I have not met, although we have a shared friend. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But tell us, again, who you are, where you're from, and what do you do, Deborah?
My name's Deborah Bacarella. I'm the regional manager for Bristol Properties International in Boca Raton, Florida.
Very good. And in Boca Raton, for our listeners across the country, where is that in the South Florida area, to give us a handle?
We're on the southeast coast, halfway between Fort Lauderdale and West Palm Beach. So it's great. We're right between two international airports. We've got seaports. It's just an easy place to get to.
Very nice. Tell us about Bristol Properties International, a real estate firm. Do you specialize in any specific areas?
Well, it's a boutique operation that we have about 50 agents combined that speak over 16 different languages.
Wow.
So we're concentrating on helping the international buyers that come to Southeast Florida looking for a place to invest.
Well, let's talk about that. I have had many people on the show from the South Florida area, mostly from the Miami area, and in the last year they have been just so proud of the great comeback that they've had. And tell us a little bit about that, and how does that reflect on your marketplace, Deborah?
Well, our market is definitely seeing an upswing. We were one of the marketplaces that got hardest hit. We had the huge spike and then the huge dip. And it is definitely turning around, and all of the statistics and all of the economic people that we've been talking to are very excited.
All right. You told me that you've got some statistics to kind of help us figure out exactly what has taken place in your area. Can you give us some of those? I know you're very active in a great deal of real estate groups and organizations. Do you have some statistics for us?
Yes, absolutely. The Realtors Association of the Palm Beaches and the Florida Association of Realtors puts out statistics specific to the state of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I just came back from the Realtors Convention and heard all of their great economic news. And one of the statistics is that our market inventory right now is very low. A normal market is about 5.5 months worth of inventory,
Okay.
and we're right there. We're right at about 6 months worth of inventory.
And, which is so different than it was, let's say, 4 years ago.
Yes, then we probably had 2 years worth of inventory.
Okay. The friend I was discussing with was Kathy Lewis. Kathy worked for me. I've been in auctions about 25 years, but I did have a hiatus for 4 years. A friend of mine, Mike Pappas from Kai's Realty, asked me to start a Boynton Beach real estate office, and I lived in Boynton Beach at the time. And Kathy Lewis
Right.
was one of my assistant managers and trusted people who did a great job, and she works for you now, I understand.
Yes, I know Mike very well as well, and Kathy is a great asset. She's a certified international property specialist, as well as she also has her seniors residential specialist designation, so she offers great value to our customers.
Well, she's been in education before, and I think that deserves some time here. You know, I see your business card, and it says GRI and PMN, and people don't realize that, you know, if you're not learning something, you're falling behind. And so kudos to you for these two designations, and kudos for Kathy for keeping up with everything and getting her certifications. What does GRI and PMN mean, please?
GRI is Graduate Realtor Institute, and PMN is a Performance Management Network. And they're both national designations through the National Association of Realtors. And you're correct. In this business, we are constantly learning, growing, staying on top of the trend and staying on top of the curve. You have to, because our industry is just changing totally day by day.
You said you were at the National Real Estate Convention, and where was that held?
They had the most recent one was in Orlando,
Okay.
Florida.
Okay. And for Florida, Dean Asher is going to be the new president, or is now the official
Yes.
new president?
He is the official Florida Realtors president. And yes, I was privileged to be at his inauguration and got to hear his father speak, Don Asher, who is a former Florida Realtors president, and it was just wonderful.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Don. When I found out Dean was going to be the president, I said, Asher, that sounds familiar, and started to think about it. And Don Asher actually worked with me on a government auction. Boy, it must have been 20 years ago, doing bank buildings across the state of Florida. Very, very successful, and he handled 2 or 3 of them, and actually sent me a kind letter of reference for the success we had. So it's nice that he's keeping it in the family. Don was always a pro, and I'm sure Dean is going to do an excellent job too.
It was a wonderful thing to see the love of real estate that Don had passed along to his son, and then all of us benefiting from it.
And that is a volunteer position, is that correct?
Correct.
And yet they spend hundreds and hundreds of hours and time going from place to place to kind of spread the word in a mission type of deal where they're telling other people and other agents what's happening, what they can do to better the profession, and and better themselves. And so kudos to him. You have been involved in a great deal of real estate organizations. Tell us a little bit about your past.
Well, I've always been a broker owner. I've quit telling people how many years I've been doing this because just suffice it to say I am a seasoned veteran in the real estate industry, and I live, eat, and breathe real estate. And home ownership is the greatest gift that we have in this country, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to work with incredible people on both sides, whether it's the buyer, the seller, or the agents in the office.
Well, the agents, I would always tell Kathy that having that sales managers meeting and being able to help them and try to inspire them in some way was one of the highlights of my week. I'm not sure it was for them, but it was exciting stuff for me because I was able to pass on things and bring on guests that might inspire them and teach them new things in the field. So it is a great thing to not only work with the buyers and sellers, but also to see the growth in some of these agents. And, you've been in the business a while, and it was funny because you're talking about the number of years, and here I am spouting off that Don Asher and I worked 20 years ago, and how is that possible when I still think I'm 19, So I don't know how that works. But tell me what you figure and how you kind of sit down with a potential agent and counsel them, and if there's any kind of, characteristic that you feel is real important in your years of working with them, that they are doing good things, and if they have these kind of traits, they probably will have a better chance of being successful for themselves and you. Do you have any ideas about that?
Sure. Well, first off, let me say that when I do interview a new agent or bring an agent in, I try and find out what their passions are and what they're interested in, because real estate is so complex. There's so many different levels and different opportunities. So someone like you who's into the auction end of it and the commercial and that end may not fit in the residential end, per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I try and find out what they're passionate about and then gear them towards that path that will help them where they'll be comfortable in whatever they're doing. I had a gentleman who was a tennis pro, and he wanted to get into the business, and so he decided to market himself with all the tennis professionals and sell tennis properties across South Florida. So it was a perfect fit. He got to apply his passion to his job.
Well, it's funny you say that, because just exactly what you mentioned, if they've got a passion and they've got a love, and everybody does, it could be past job experience, it could be just hobbies, it could be whatever, but people like to talk to people who are in the same field, same area, has the same passion, and you're right, somebody into tennis, whether it's a tennis pro or somebody that just is involved in tennis a great deal, has hundreds and hundreds of people that they know them, they trust them, and it kind of works because people want to deal with people that they like. Agree? Yes, I agree.
And it shows. If you're passionate about your job, then it's not a job, it's play. It's a wonderful life, and that's what we're creating in this real estate field. It's a wonderful life to be able to work with a buyer and seller and actually help them achieve their dreams. It's a great feeling.
They are agents. They get up and down, and of course, it's your job, it was my job at one time to kind of keep them going, keep on prodding them, kind of pushing them on their way. Do you see, is an outgoing person a better fit for this kind of profession, or is it somebody that just works hard? Is it a combination of both? What's your feel on that, Deborah?
Well, it takes someone with patience.
Okay.
This job takes a lot of patience. You have to be willing to listen to what the customer is asking for, and the patience to walk them through all the steps and help them find and then guide them. So that's why nurses, teachers, people like that tend to make great realtors. There's all different personalities, and the realtors who succeed the best can adapt their personality to their customer's personality, is what I've found.
I agree, and that's good words of advice for upcoming real estate agents. And real estate is just an amazing way to be an entrepreneur. It's a very inexpensive way to basically own your business, because you are, even though you join Bristol Properties International, one of your agents, I mean, it's their own business. They have to promote it. They have to get out there. They have to figure out what they need to get better. And again, it's a very inexpensive entrepreneurship way to become your own boss, really. And let's talk a little bit about, because I left the Boynton Beach, South Florida, Palm Beach County area in 2007, which was kind of right at the start of the process of going down. You've had to adapt your business a great deal, I'm going to guess, because of bank foreclosures and short sales, and how did you do that to be a success in your business? Because you've got to adapt, of course.
Yes, you do, and you have to stay, as we talked about, staying on top of the trends. So we, for example, took the certified distressed property expert classes, became experts at how to negotiate the short sales, learned how to deal with the banks and provide the broker price opinions, whatever they needed. So yes, you adapt in terms of counseling your customers. You know, should they go, what should they do? Should it be a short sale? Is that in their best interest? And send them to the proper attorney or whoever can help them make those decisions.
What's your crystal ball about the marketplace, Deborah? What's going to happen in this year and in the near future? What do you see? I'm sure you're bullish on it, but give me some clarification. What do you see as far as real estate in your area?
Well, as far as we're going here, I would say that the prices are going to continue to go up. Our inventory is very low, and it's almost getting to the point where it's becoming a seller's market. We're back at that level of it where the sellers that are putting their homes on the market now are able to ask what they want within reason and are getting the prices. So we're seeing a steady upward trend. And I think the people who don't jump into the market now are going to kick themselves 10 years from now and say, I had this great opportunity of low interest rates, low prices, and why didn't I act?
It's funny because I looked at my house on Zillow just yesterday in Boynton Beach, and I remember when I was thinking about selling it because I was moving up to St. Augustine, and thinking maybe I could get more, and my wife, bless her heart, told me, do it now, and sold it, and I looked at the price that Zillow has right now on it, and it's almost a couple $100,000 less than it was in 2007. Probably 40%. Cheaper than what I sold it. Is that a number that you're coming back from? because it ranges throughout the country. I'm going to say from the very high, to the low, which I think was a few months ago or half a year ago. I'm thinking that 50% is a figure that is bantered around as far as values, and is that what happened in South Florida too?
Yes, our actual statistics are about 47% drop from the height.
Okay.
So we had the huge spike and the huge drop.
What was the actual height as far as your area? Was it 2006 or 2007?
Yes.
2006.
It was definitely 2006.
Okay. Okay. Very, very good. Well, you sound like you're doing great. 50 agents. God bless you. It's a challenge, I know, but I'm sure if you've got Kathy Lewis and on your team, you're going to do fine. Please say hi to her and give her my best. How do people contact you and your firm, Deborah?
The easiest way, we're online, bristolre.com, or they can call the office. There's an 800 number, 855-347-1303, and they can always reach out to me direct as well. I'm out there on all the social media sites, and they can also email me direct, Deb Bacarella, DEBBACARELLA @gmail.com.
Deborah, thank you so much, and again, congratulations to you to keeping pace with upcoming trends for the real estate. Really, the curve that's going on right now, and getting more education. Sounds like you're doing a fine job. It's a pleasure to meet you over the phone, and again, my best to Kathy Lewis. One more time, the 800 number, if you would.
855-347-1303.
Perfect. Toll free. Wonderful. Hey, thank you, Deborah, and I appreciate you being on the show. You have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye. Bye-bye now. All right, that was Deborah Bacarella. She is the regional manager of Bristol Properties in the Boca Raton, Palm Beach County, Florida area in Florida. And thank you so much, Deborah, for coming on. Sounds like you're doing a great job. Having 50 agents is a wonderful thing. It does take time and effort, and I applaud her for her work ethic and effort to make 50 agents do better, because that's the regional manager's job, to kind of inspire them, to provide them with educational tools to get better. And every once in a while, I'll give them a push to do more, do better, because sometimes the agents get up and down as far as progress. And again, sometimes you can do 4 or 5 sales in a week and not have anything for 2 months. So it is up and down. Thank you, Deborah Bacarella. We're going to go for a break, and then we're going to be right back. And again, thank you for listening. All right, we are back. You're listening to the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. I am your host, Doug Dennison. We just heard from Deborah Bacarella from Bristol Properties International in Boca Raton, Florida. Great interview talking about managing real estate agents, recruiting them, who does a good job, who does not fit that well. And good job, Deborah, and thank you so much. We've got our next caller. Good morning, you're on the air. Just missed him, and hopefully we'll get him right back. We talked about the South Florida market, and it was an interesting statistic. Okay, let's try this again. Good morning, you're on the air.
Good morning, Doug.
Hey, is this Ward Mazzucco?
It is.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for calling from probably a little crispy up there, Danbury, Connecticut. Is it cold up there, Ward?
Well, Doug, I knew that your main purpose in having a Danbury fellow on the show would be to talk about the temperatures. And
yes.
Indeed, it was 25 degrees when I came in this morning.
No.
So you're in greater comfort than we are here. I can assure you of that.
Believe it or not, when I woke up this morning to go to the YMCA, it was 42, so we're not that far apart, incredible as it may seem. Ward, give us a little background on yourself. Again, who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
Well, thank you, Doug, and thanks for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. I'm a lawyer in Danbury, Connecticut. I've been practicing about 34 years, and my real estate or my practice focuses generally on real estate, all aspects of it, from land use and leasing and development, condominiums, construction, and so forth. And I work with a 7-lawyer firm in Danbury, and our practice pretty much concentrates on the western part of Connecticut. And
you're about an hour and a half north of New York City, just to give everybody a perspective. Is that about right?
That's right. We're kind of at the edge of the commuting orbit of New York,
okay.
And some folks here do commute in. Most work more locally, and it also means that we're under the influence of the health of New York City. The financial services industry in New York has been strong over the years, except for this most recent downturn, and that the health of the financial services industry in New York has a significant influence on our area.
Sure. Just to give our listeners a background, you and I went to Danbury High, graduated from Danbury High in Connecticut, and I was there to talk about what I do for a living last week, and it was interesting to go over our pasts and backgrounds, and I'm so glad that I had a chance to meet with you, Ward. And by the way, it was freezing up there last week too, so I'm almost thawed out. Tell us a little bit more information about Danbury. I know it's an hour and a half out of New York. Give me some more stats, if you would.
Sure. Well, Danbury traces itself back to the 1600s and actually figured in Revolutionary War activities and developed into an industrial city in the early 20th century, and is most noted for the hat industry. Now, there's no longer a hat manufacturing plant in the city, but Danbury is still known as the hat city, and the high school team is still known as the Hatters.
The Hatters.
So the industrial influence, as that waned, other things started to happen. For example, Union Carbide Corporation in the late 70s announced a move from Manhattan to Danbury, and that really jump-started growth in our community. And not long after that, we had a state fair that operated in Danbury for decades, occupied a very large tract of strategically located land right off the highway. And the fair operated maybe 10 days a year. And then a developer from Rochester proposed a mall consisting of well over 1 million square feet, which opened in the early 80s, and that helped to promote growth in the community even further. So the combination of the Union Carbide headquarters, which was something like 1.3 million 300,000 square feet,
wow.
and the Danbury Mall, which is probably, I think it's the largest in New England, contributed to quite a big building boom throughout the 1980s. From my own perspective, I had served on the Zoning Commission and the Wetlands Commission in Danbury just before that boom took off.
Mm-hmm.
So when I left those positions, I was in a good position to work with developers who were interested in capitalizing on the arrival of Union Carbide and the mall in our community. Danbury now has a population of about 80,000. It's a very diverse community, very popular with immigrants from South America, so Spanish and Portuguese are widely spoken here.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, focusing a little bit on the real estate market,
right.
I noted just yesterday that the court that's based in Danbury, which serves Danbury and maybe 5 or 6 surrounding towns, has 1,350 foreclosures pending.
Mm.
Now, I don't think that we've been any worse off or better off than other communities in the Northeast, but that's a kind of a striking figure, and I thought it was something that you might want to hear about.
Yeah. In fact, Ward, I was just talking to the guest prior to you coming on from South Florida, and we're talking about what prices did, when was the actual boom, when was the top of it, and what she said was that prices have gone down 46% since the boom, which was in 2006, in her opinion. Is that similar? As I talk to people and real estate VIPs across the country, we talk about 50%, some being less, some being more. Did Connecticut get that same kind of hit, or was it not quite as bad?
Yeah, I think it was not quite as bad. I think that the boom here was or the peak of the boom here occurred more like 2007.
Okay.
And I think the statistics that I follow suggest a general price decline of about 1/3 off the peak. Now it's also affected by the market. Danbury is in Fairfield County, which is home to the wealthiest part of the state,
mm-hmm.
Greenwich, mm-hmm. as well as the one of the poorest parts of the state, Bridgeport. And I see that there are condominiums and houses in Bridgeport today trading at $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and that market's been very hard hit, and it was always a challenging market to begin with.
Right.
In Greenwich, in contrast, there are homes trading all the time in the several $million range, and I think that the Greenwich market, though it was affected, was not as hard hit as some other parts of Connecticut. Danbury, in particular, would fall between the experiences of Greenwich and Bridgeport, and I think pretty well reflects the Connecticut experience generally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know the Bridgeport area that well. My father did. He went to Arnold College, which became University of Bridgeport, so he probably knows that a lot better. But I remember Greenwich and how wealthy that area was. They'd always beat us at when I was on the golf team. They'd always kill us. I don't know why. They had the best players in the state, I think. And they are closer to New York, so I get the people living in Greenwich and maybe commuting to the city either by train or car or whatever, but prices were just crazy there then, and I'm sure they're crazy there now.
Yes, exactly. a lot of the financial services bigwigs in New York
Yep.
reside in Greenwich. But in addition to that, there's been an exodus of hedge funds, as you probably know, from Manhattan to Stamford and Greenwich. Stamford is the large city that abuts Greenwich. And southern Fairfield County is really the hedge fund capital of our area, and that has helped to sustain very high residential prices and office rates in those areas.
Interesting. I did not know that. Very interesting. You talked about land use. You were kind of a land use guy, and I'm sure in 2005, 2006, at the height of the boom, developers were looking for residential development. They were looking for commercial development. Run us through quickly, if you could, what does that mean? So I'm a potential buyer. I see 10 acres of land out there, but it's basically farmland, and it's zoned agricultural. How do I figure out if I'm going to buy it as a farm entity? How do I then go and figure out how I can do residential or a part of it commercial? How long does it take? And I know with someone that's smart as you, I mean, it probably takes less time by hiring you, but what happens in that process, please?
Well, that's a very good question. I gather that the Northeast has the reputation of being much more highly regulated than much of the rest of our country, and my own experience bears that out. The first step in analyzing any property is to see what zone it lies in. Now, municipalities in Connecticut don't have to have zoning, but I think only 2 or 3 in our entire state don't have zoning.
Okay.
So with zoning, every property falls into one designation or another, and those designations would vary from town to town, but they would group typically residential uses in one area, commercial uses in another, multifamily uses in yet another, and pardon me, and the challenge for a developer is to figure out whether there's an opportunity to change a zone from, let's say, single-family residential, which would be relatively less productive,
right,
to something that's more intense, like an industrial zone or a multifamily zone. And the developer would make a pitch to the local zoning commission to see if the commission would see fit to make that change. Once the zoning is changed, then the developer would drill down with more detailed plans, which would have to be reviewed by the local wetlands agency, if there are any wetlands in the area,
right,
and also by whatever agency in that community reviews detailed site plans. And the analysis would cover everything from drainage and traffic to even the color and composition of the building facades, and no detail would really be too small to be analyzed and regulated. Some communities have architectural advisory bodies which help to develop the most aesthetically pleasing developments. So there's an awful lot of review. There are a lot of agencies that look at proposed developments on a local level, and there are even state agencies involved. If the project is of a sufficient size, like more than 200 parking spaces, or if it's on a state highway, then the State Traffic Commission might get involved, and that involves a whole other
Sure.
level of review and analysis. So the whole process in a complicated project could easily be about a year.
Okay.
A small subdivision might be, small residential subdivision might be a few months, but a developer could easily spend a year or more in the quest to obtain approvals, and even despite his best efforts, might be unsuccessful. So it's a challenging environment. It's expensive to have all the lawyers and
Sure.
engineers and surveyors that are necessary to bring a project forward.
But if you can change it from single-family residential to commercial or industrial or multifamily, that property becomes far more valuable, and so that's the deal. But I understand that, once they buy it, then they're in for a year or sometimes even more trying to get the process done. Is there a pitch part to the zoning commission that, with these changes, it will benefit the area this way and bring more tax base into the area this way? Is that what they kind of do?
Well, interestingly, the cases in Connecticut say that the zoning commissions are not supposed to consider the effect on property taxes, but
Really?
they do.
Okay.
They're supposed to look at more conventional land use factors, like where would a natural boundary lie? Could it be a river or a highway that would be a logical place to change zones?
Okay.
And what about the topography? An industrial zone might not work so well in a very hilly area where buildings tend to be where large single-story buildings are more difficult to build. So the commissions look at a variety of factors: natural boundaries, topography, proximity to transportation. There's a big push in Connecticut to orient the highest density uses next to train stations and highway exits and places that would facilitate access. So there really are a lot of factors. And of course, the wise developers who perceive a favorable impact on property taxes will also work that into their presentation.
Sure. Well, Florida is kind of one of those states that lead the nation in good stuff and bad stuff in the real estate area. If we're really going up, I think it affects the other areas in the country, and if we're really going down, it affects the other parts of the country. And of course, I've always believed that the Northeast and Florida have had a great connection for buyers and sellers, and if you're gonna buy another place, another business, I see a lot of that traded on. But the good news is, Ward, that in the 2006-2007 area in Miami, there were just cranes not working at all, idle. Probably, in fact, somebody told me there was up to 100 cranes in the South Florida area that were just standing still at one time when this collapse happened. The good news is they are working again. They're actually building. They're building apartment buildings. They're building condos. So maybe you'll have more work in the land use department very quickly.
Well, things do seem to be springing back to life here as well, and maybe we're following Florida's lead. But our developer clients are generally active again. They may not be doing projects of quite the same magnitude as before,
right,
but they are getting busy. And on the Florida end, it's heartening to know that when I get tired of the cold weather here, that you'll have a place for me down there.
Absolutely, sir. Hey, on a more somber note, Sandy Hook Elementary is probably 10 miles from Danbury, maybe less, and of course the country was shocked and just very concerned about all the victims, and our hearts go out there. And I just heard that some of the families are going to the Super Bowl, which is a great gesture. But again, on behalf of the nation, want to reach out to those people who I'm sure you know many of, and just to say that we're all thinking of them. And lastly, tell us how to get a hold of you, Ward. You're the man as far as real estate attorney work in the Danbury, Connecticut area. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, thanks for your kind words, Doug. Our website is a good place to start. We're at danburylaw.com. I'm also reachable by email, wjm@danburylaw.com. And my phone is 203-744-1929, extension 25. But I suspect most people will find it easiest to remember the danburylaw.com website, which doesn't reflect a great deal of imagination in terms of the name, but it is easy to remember.
Easy is good, and that's wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. Give my good friends Linda and Andy Benzuwitz a shout out for me, and again, thank you being on the show. You have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Doug. It's been a pleasure.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug.
Hey, Allison from Rowell Auctions in Moultrie, Georgia. Tell me what's happening as far as upcoming auctions in the near future, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We've got a Sarasota, Florida property auction coming up. That is set for Tuesday, February the 12th. We have 448 acres in Turner County, Georgia. That is set for February the 16th. That is going to be quite a beautiful piece of property.
Nice.
And that is all on RowellAuctions.com.
And give me the spelling, just make sure that everybody gets it. How do you spell Rowell, and is it auction or auctions?
It's auctions with an S,
okay.
And it's ROWELLAUCTIONS.com.
Very good. And if they want to call you on the 800 line, what is that number, please?
800-323-8388.
Well, excellent. You've done very, very well lately. A big auction yesterday, 5,200 acres, and all of these new auctions. You have become a site for real estate investors and buyers to go on, because they want to know where is the next possibility of a bargain. They want interest. They do great by going on, and they can bid on the internet. And you've got some kind of video that can help them. Is that true?
Actually, the videos are not on the website anymore, but they're more than welcome to call me,
okay.
And I'd be happy to guide them through the website.
Okay.
On how to register and to find any kind of information.
Very, very good. And you were doing a whole bunch of absolute auctions. Absolute auctions mean that it sells to the highest bidder regardless of price. Always the best way to sell, always the best way if you are a buyer, because you know it's going to sell that day. And so I want to praise you and the whole team at Rowell Auctions for being a leader in the auction world. Give us that website and telephone number one more time, Allison Marchetti.
Sure. It's RowellAuctions.com, RowellAuctions.com, 800-323-8388.
Very good. Hey, you have a great weekend. Thank you so much. You are the executive producer of this show. Do a fantastic job. I want to thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend, Allison.
You too, Doug.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, that was Allison Marchetti talking about upcoming auctions in Florida and Georgia. They are really up and coming as far as the go-to site if you are a buyer of real estate. And so thank you, Allison. Also want to thank our first guest, who was Deborah Bacarella. She's the regional manager of Bristol Properties International in Boca Raton, Florida. And then Ward Mazzucco, real estate attorney from Danbury, Connecticut. I was just up there last week and had the opportunity to sit down with him to find out what he's doing. Great job, Ward. Great job, Deborah. Great job, Allison. And folks, I want to say once again, fine show. Thank you for listening in. We are going to be back next week. And again, thank you for listening and have a great weekend. Spend some time with your family. Take care. Bye-bye.